Nicely designed using rigid parts, fast speeds that produce great 3D prints, a responsive and easy-to-use touchscreen display, network capability, fully automatic bed leveling, and multicolor printing starting at only $399. These are just some of the features of Bambu Lab's new A1. Could this be the best value 3D printer that money can buy? Hey, this is Rohan, and thank you for tuning in to Creatorrific. Today we're taking a look at Bambu Lab's latest bedslinger style 3D printer, the A1, and the automatic material system, also known as the AMS. I'd like to first say that Bambu Lab did not sponsor this video, and that I'm in no way affiliated with them, and that I did not receive this printer for free in exchange for a review. I bought this printer with my own money, so you can rest assured that I'm giving you my own unbiased opinion, and that I'll be honest and critical throughout the video. Let's get into it though. Firstly, I'll point out that the AMS has been redesigned for the A1 series of printers as the AMS Lite. It holds 4 filament spools, same as the original, and allows printing for up to 4 colors, taking this machine to the next level. The original AMS worked with automatically turning rollers, while the new AMS Lite uses automatically turning spool holders. This gives the new AMS Lite an advantage because the old AMS was designed to work mainly with spools made of hard materials, not recycled cardboard. The new AMS Lite doesn't have this issue, however, because as long as the inner diameter of the spools are 53 to 58 millimeters wide, which is standard, the AMS Lite will have no trouble feeding filament. The A1 itself has a good build volume of 256 millimeters cubed, same as Bambu Lab's core XY models, the P1S and X1 Carbon. That means that you can actually use the existing build plates from those models as well. The A1 is also a great upgrade from its little sibling, the A1 Mini, which only has a build volume of 180 millimeters cubed. It's also only priced at $100 more than the A1 Mini. As mentioned, the A1 sells for $399, but it can be purchased as a combo together with the AMS Lite for only $559, which would save almost $100 versus buying the 2 units separately. Considering all the features that the A1's packing, it's very competitively priced compared to other regular sized 3D printers. Everything sounds good on paper, but how do these features actually stack up in the real world? And is it every bit as good as it seems? Well, let's take a look. I'm going to skip the unboxing and assembly of this printer since there's already a bunch of videos demonstrating those details. I will say though that it wasn't difficult at all. It should only take about 30 minutes or so, and it mainly involves securing the print frame to the print bed by removing and inserting screws, and lastly connecting cables. The screw holes are very clearly indicated by stickers on the machine, and the included user manual has easy to follow step-by-step instructions. Looking at the print head, the filament cutter is positioned in a different location than with previous Bambu Lab models. Another difference is that the A1 is able to use its entire build surface, unlike the P1 and X1 models, which prevent printing in the bottom left corner. The Y-axis features durable metal rollers kept safe underneath a protective cover, the X-axis is made of a solid linear rail, and the Z-axis uses 2 metal rods housed in aluminum framing. This machine is built solid, and it gives the A1 a very sturdy frame, which is necessary considering the 500 millimeters per second advertised print speeds. It in fact prints just as fast as the P1S and X1 Carbon. With its active flow rate and vibration compensation features, this printer is capable of producing fast yet high quality prints. Just the print head alone is feature packed with a direct drive extruder, filament cutter, accelerometer, and filament flow gauge. Maybe the nicest feature for users though is the ability to quick swap nozzles, which is convenient for unclogging filament or just changing nozzle size. Additional nozzles for the A1 series can be found at the Bambu Lab store, and they're very reasonably priced. Generally speaking, this machine worked amazingly right out of the box, and I never had any issue with bed adhesion or first layers. The A1 comes with an upgraded textured PEI flex plate rated for use with PLA, ABS, and PETG. All of the filament that I used stuck very well to the PEI plate, and it left a nice texture on the bottom of my prints. So what kind of filament can the A1 handle and not handle? Well, the hot end could reach a maximum temperature of 300 degrees and the print bed could reach a maximum temperature of 100 degrees. Although that means that the machine could technically print high temp materials like ABS and carbon fiber, it isn't recommended by Bambu Lab. Reason A, because this machine doesn't have an enclosure and therefore no way of isolating and exhausting toxic fumes. As a matter of fact, Bambu Lab specifically mentions that the A1 shouldn't be placed even in third-party enclosures because the processing components can likely overheat and malfunction. Point B is because there's potential for reduced strength and increased warping due to the open frame design. Bambu Lab does mention that it's okay to print small size prints with low filling density for these high temp materials, but they suggest not printing large size prints on the A1. Additionally, users of the A1 series should avoid using filament that contain hard particles, as this will wear out the standard stainless steel nozzles quickly. For hard particle filament, a hardened stainless steel nozzle is suggested instead. Ideally, low temperature filament like PLA, PETG, TPU, and PVA are best for printing with the A1 series. As long as you're sticking with PLA or any of those other filament, you'll be more than happy with the A1 because it produces consistently good quality prints. So how time consuming is it to start up, and is it difficult to get your first print done? Not at all. Once the machine is assembled, all we need to do is turn it on, connect to a network, then scan the QR code on the control screen to register the machine using the Bambu Handy app. You should also update the firmware before diving into printing. All of this just takes a few minutes. Once done, load your filament and you're ready to print. By the way, the A1 includes a spool holder by default, which mounts to the top of the print frame. Bambu Lab doesn't recommend using flexible or rigid filament with the AMS because it will have trouble feeding through. Therefore, if you're planning to print with TPU for example, it's best to use a single spool holder instead of the AMS. For me though, I'll be loading only the recommended filament into the AMS, which is easy to do. Just place your spool of filament onto the spool holders, making sure that it's pushed all the way in. Then feed filament into the hole located on the underside of the AMS's filament funnels while pressing in the orange release button. Take time to ensure that your filament is entangled and that you're feeding into the correct corresponding numbers of the filament spools and funnels. Once enough filament is fed through, the AMS's sensor will detect and feed the rest automatically. If you're using Bambu Lab filament, then the AMS will automatically load the unique filament settings for you by reading the embedded RFID tags. Not to worry though, you're still able to use third-party filament with the AMS. You can input third-party filament settings by using the control screen. Just select filament under the AMS tab, select load, then the AMS will take a few moments to heat up the hot end and purge any old filament as it loads. Lastly, you just need to select a filament type, color, and brand if listed. If you don't see your brand, just select generic and you're ready to print using the AMS. I found that the AMS was genuinely useful regardless of multicolor printing because it reduced the time spent handling and switching out filament. Anytime I needed to switch filament, I could do so with the click of a button over my network. This means that you don't even need to be in the same location as the printer to switch materials. Combined with other features like automatic filament purging, auto bed leveling, and auto tool wiping before every print, this makes for one low maintenance, hands-off 3D printer. The downside of the AMS Lite though is that it increases the overall footprint of the A1 series printers. You can however choose to top mount the AMS Lite to the A1 by using print files that Bambu Lab has available. A lot of people have reported though that this makes the A1 slightly imbalanced because it causes it to teeter while printing, but it looks like Bambu Lab has since addressed this by making support extensions for the rear available as well. This should get rid of any rocking. The top mount option for the AMS Lite and A1 would contain the footprint to just the printer itself, which is of course more ideal for most people's setup. I opted to just have the AMS Lite sit next to my A1 though, since I have enough desk space and I don't mind. So how do those first prints look on the A1? Well, I started with some basic 3D prints to get an idea of the initial quality of this machine. It was very easy to start printing by selecting one of the preloaded designs found on the included SD card from the control screen. If you prefer though, you can also send files over a network using Bambu Lab's mobile app or Slicer software. The Bambu Handy app is convenient and very easy to use. It allows you to browse and print many 3D designs from the integrated MakerWorld libraries, control print settings on the fly, and monitor your prints using the A1's included camera. You can even do time lapses which get stored to the SD card. I need to point out though that the camera quality is not the A1 strong suit. The low frame rate camera is not the best resolution, is positioned at a low angle, and produces choppy footage which seems to be a snapshot taken every 5 seconds. This unfortunately doesn't make for the best time-lapse footage, but it's still good for monitoring prints so that the machine can be stopped if there are any issues. I'm really hoping though that the camera quality will be enhanced later with either a firmware or hardware update from Bambu Lab. Anyways, let's take a look at those prints. Up first, this 3D Benchy that I printed using 3 different materials: PLA, Silk PLA, and PETG. The A1 produced some good prints right away, and this was just using the presets. The PETG print looked flawless, and the PLA prints looked impressive as well. I did notice a couple of spots though where both types of PLA didn't print too well, specifically the door and window arches of the Benchy. I decided to reprint both types of PLA after tweaking the temperature settings and slowing the print down to 50%. The second time round, these prints came out looking better. Let's take a look at a more technical print as well. I decided to print the 3D torture toaster, which demonstrates a variety of characteristics. This print came out decent using the presets for Overture PLA, which are stored on the A1, but there were some flaws here and there. The overall appearance looked great, except for the overhangs that were printed at 70 degrees and upward. The gears on the side worked fine, but the toaster handle wouldn't slide down all the way. A look at the lower part of the handle from the open side panel and from underneath show that filament didn't get layered properly and that there's some separation. Lastly, all the tolerance sliders are slightly fused together. I had to cheat by using utility knife to free them, and I didn't bother with a 0.1. For these more technical 3D models, the A1 requires setting adjustments to achieve full functionality. Overall though, I'm impressed with the A1's print performance right out of the box. Afterwards, I just had fun running a bunch of different prints using the AMS presets and different filament. These one-color prints all came out great, but that's not why we got the AMS Lite add-on. So how good is the A1 AMS combo at multicolor printing? Well, let's take a look. I went ahead and sent a file over from the Maker World library to the Bambu Studio slicer using my computer. Bambu Studio further enhances the experience with a polished-looking, easy-to-use interface. It's essentially a reskinned version of Prusa Slicer. This Biohazard Sign that I imported uses 2 colors, one for the background and one for the extruded elements. I wanted to demonstrate the ideal type of 3D model and color placement that work best with the AMS to reduce filament waste. By now we've seen and heard stories about the large amount of waste generated by the AMS, aka poop. This is the trade-off for being able to produce those amazing multicolored 3D prints. Depending on the job, the AMS can produce as much waste as the print object itself, or even more. It's therefore best to take this into consideration and optimize the 3D files before sending them to print. And honestly, I just didn't feel like wasting a bin worth of filament in order to demonstrate the AMS Lite. You can see from this design that the printer will only have to do one switch of filament when it reaches the extruded portion versus switching filament back and forth during each layer like some prints require. This file was easy to adjust though because the designer already had it separated into 2 main sections. So what if this design was only one color and you wanted to achieve the same result? Well, that's where the paint feature comes in. Select an object on the build plate and click on the paint bucket icon to access the color painting tool features. Here you can select the filament color you want to paint with and apply it to the 3D model using a variety of tool types. For this job, the height range tool works best because it allows me to click and drag up or down so I could quickly color only the extruded elements. Of course, this won't work for all designs though, and sometimes you'll just have to deal with producing a lot of waste to achieve multicolor prints. Also, depending on the 3D model, other tool types may be more suitable. The height range tool just happens to work for this example. Note that you can also adjust sliders to adjust thresholds for each tool type, and that you can even adjust the slider to view cutaway sections of the model if needed as well. So now that I've recolored the design, let's send it off. The print didn't take too long, and it worked out as planned, purging very little filament. Going from black to white, it needed to purge a bit more to ensure that the white came out clean. You can see as it transitions from black to gray to white while purging. But going the other way, white to black, it doesn't need to purge as much. Regardless, this is nothing compared to the waste that some multicolor prints produce. So are there any updates to the Bambu Studio slicer for the A1 and AMS? There are in fact, and now's a good time to mention them. Firstly, under the Prepare tab, you'll now see the A1 printer model listed with different nozzle sizes. You'll also see the new textured PEI plate listed as well. The filament drop-down menu displays filament currently assigned to the printer, either using the spool holder or the AMS. If you don't see your filament currently loaded for the AMS, then click the Device tab where you can edit those details. Here you can load and assign settings for your filament by clicking on the pencil icon within the AMS window. You can also live stream your prints here, take time lapses, and control print settings on the fly, same as with the mobile app. Once you've loaded and assigned filament settings to the AMS, you can head back to the Prepare tab and click on the AMS icon to synchronize. You can also add and remove filament using the plus and minus button depending on how many colors you're using. An important parameter that you can adjust for multicolor printing is the flushing volumes. This controls how much filament gets purged when switching from one color to another. So if you're finding that you need to purge a bit more to produce clean colors, you can increase that amount by clicking the button and increasing the values. You can also click the pencil icon to the right of the filament name to edit presets. That way, when you have your settings dialed in for certain filament types and brands, you can apply them with just the click of a button to future prints. So that about summarizes it, and I think that concludes this review of the new A1 and AMS Lite combo. So what do I think about it? Well, I think that the A1 sells for a very competitive price considering all of its features and ease of use. The optional AMS Lite grants the ability to print in multicolor, which only takes its printer to the next level, and it's been upgraded to work better than the original. Even without printing in multicolor, the AMS manages filament for you, so you don't have to spend time doing it or even be present. The mobile app and slicer software are a pleasant experience, and they make 3D printing fun and even more convenient over a network. The noise cancellation feature, vibration compensation, auto flow calibration, auto bed leveling, auto purge, and auto tool wiping features make for a low maintenance and mostly hands-off experience, which is great because time is valuable. Although the low frame rate camera isn't the A1's strong suit, it still allows remote monitoring so that the printer can be stopped if there's any issues. The prints that the A1 produce are good quality right out of the box, and they can be fine-tuned for even better results. To me, this combo seems pretty future-proof in the FDM 3D printer category, at least for the next few years, and I think that the A1 is perfect for any beginners, anyone wanting a low-maintenance 3D printer, anyone who wants to experience multicolor printing, or just anyone wanting to upgrade from an older, regular-sized 3D printer. With the AMS sold separately, there's no commitment to purchase right away, so it could be added later on to any of the A1 models if desired as well. Right now, with the purchase of any 3D printer through Bambu Lab, you'll also get a free 6-month Bambu Filament membership, which saves up to 32% and gives you free shipping on orders of over 3 filament spools or more. Again, I bought this printer full price with my own money, and this is just my honest opinion. I'm overall very impressed, and I couldn't be happier with my purchase. This is exactly the experience that I was hoping for. So what do you think? I'd love to hear in the comments. Maybe there's a different model that you'd recommend. Also, drop a suggestion for content you'd like to see on my channel. If you're interested in buying this printer or any of the filament that I've used, I've placed links in the video's description below. Any affiliate links used helps to support this channel at no extra cost to you, of course. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the like and subscribe button, as well as turn on the notification bell so you can be alerted when new videos are released. Thank you for tuning in to Creatorrific. Until next time, see you then.